Welcome back. With us now live over the phone is Rana Ehab, the heritage researcher and historian. Good morning, Rana.
Good morning.
How are you
Good
doing?
morning.
A
I'm
beautiful
fine.
morning to you, Rana.
Thank you, dear.
So speaking about this beautiful, huge event, tell us the story about that particular, I mean, the museum of Amenhotep, and how important is it now to reopen it again, and what was the story with it? How was the restoration taken?
Actually, Imhatib Museum, one of the most amazing museums, because it's related to the historical area itself. Saqqara is one of the most important places, not only in Egypt, but in all the world, because it's telling us the stories about how humans start to construct and building things from a stone. And the clever architect in this place actually is Imhotep. For that reason, it's important to show a museum or a park display all of the objects here. When we're talking about Saqqara, Saqqara is a very huge place. It's included all the ages of Egypt started from ancient Egypt to tell the Islamic area. For that reason, we should have a kind of museum. Not all the people have all the time to visit this huge number and the huge tombs and the pyramids and the site itself. So if you do not have the enough time to visit all things in Saqqara, because it maybe take a 2 or 3 days, so you can go to visit Imhotep Museum and see the last things or the most important things that spotlight on the area itself.
Right, it was declared as one of the UNESCO heritage, right?
Yes, that's true. So this is was recorded. I think this is the first thing in the world that UNESCO recorded, because when we're talking about Saqqara, it's in Memphis, which is the old capital of Egypt, the first old capital of Egypt. So it's important and huge. And also, as we mentioned, it includes many archaeological sites from many ages in Egypt. When we are talking about Saqqara and why we call it Saqqara, when we mention that, the first thing come in our minds actually is about the step pyramid of King Djoser and the complex of King Djoser itself, which is the first structure was built from stone. For that reason, it's called Saqqara according to the god there. It's called Saqqar, but also it included many other things and many other stages. And there also a special thing that we can found in Imhotep Museum. Each king in ancient Egypt have his title on his statue, only his title. In this museum, we have a base for the statue of King Djoser, the builder or the owner of the step pyramid, the first pyramid, including the name of Imhotep. And this is something very, very special. It shows us how this person is important in that time. He's not only an engineer or he mentioned, the King Djoser mentioned him as the minister of the sculptors in that time, and also he is a doctor. For that reason,
Exactly. I was going to touch over Amenhotep, probably from the stories and from the readings about that particular person or particular character in ancient history. We can see a physician, an astronomer, an architect. He had a great role behind the King Djoser's step pyramid at Saqqara. I mean, this was a man of many arts,
yes.
and he was quite talented. Talk to us more about Amenhotep.
Imhotep actually, you know that the Greeks, after the ending of the ancient Egyptian king's period and the Greeks come to Egypt, actually they are mentioned also Imhotep as a special one for them. Because, you know, when a person who's living in the desert, looking around him in the nature of Egypt, and he started to instruct everything from stone. This is something very, very special and very clever. how the humans started to have the idea of taking a stone and sculptate it, make it as a columns, as a walls, as the doors. And the ancient Egyptian architecture in general is related to astronomy. So everything inside the complex of King Djeser, it's regarding or the reference in the sky actually. For that reason, he is also astronomer, because everything or every point he bought in Saqqara, he know what is reflected in the sky, and he bought it in the land. This is a very, very important one. And also in Amhatib Museum, there are a special place for surgical tools. So this is mean the ancient Egyptian in that time, in the beginning of the dynasties, because the pyramid of King Djeser, we have a 30 and 31 dynasties in Egypt. Imhotep and his architecture and his art and his development actually taking a place in the beginning of the history in the third dynasty of Egypt. So that shows how the thinking and the clever of ancient Egyptians in that time.
Right. What is the importance of bringing that museum, I mean restoring that museum at that particular time, and how is it going to boost the flow of tourists to Saqqara?
Yes, I want to shed light on this, because some people said, okay, we have a lot of museums and we have a lot of archaeological sites. What is the importance of this museum in this place especially? As I mentioned before, Saqqara is a very huge place, and we need to see everything inside Saqqara to give you a more time and to facilitate your visit during in Saqqara. And that time, you have to see what is the things related to the art and architecture. For that reason, the museum also talking about includes main 3 points or main 3 topics. The 3 topics is about how the ancient Egyptians start to build and start to using limestone and the stone in the architecture itself. And the other thing, how the ancient Egyptians start to thinking about the burials and the mummified and those things. And the last thing, which is the new one and the most important, is showing us about the lost excavations happened at a museum or a part, showing us the lost things about the excavation, especially the Egyptian excavation in the area of Saqqara. So this is also great, because some people, when they are searching or looking at TV, they showing a lot of excavation in Egypt. How we can visit this? Egypt actually on the track now to show you in the life and by your eyes when you visit this place.
Right. On that note, Rana Ehab, the historian and heritage researcher, would like to thank you so much, and you have a beautiful morning. Thank you so much talking to us on The Breakfast Show. And by this, we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show for today. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again tomorrow morning, that's a goodbye.